we go. Maybe.
Yep. We must be. Hello, friends. The last one of the year already. What the heck, man?
I know, isn't that crazy?
Isn't that crazy? It's December.
I can't believe that it's almost over. Like halfway. Halfway.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
I know. Well, even like it'll feel like faster than that. Because like Christmas feels like the end of the month, even though it's not.
Yeah.
Like, Christmas feels like the end of the month. Literally right next to me is my pile of presents that I have to wrap still.
Oh gosh, I haven't even started either.
Oh, yeah. I might do that. It might be a surprise, so you guys here will know this. I might do like a present wrapping sprint. I did that last year, and it was really fun. So be on the lookout. Maybe I'll just throw it up and be like, I'm gonna wrap presents and listen to audiobooks. So come hang out with me. So yes, I'm so happy. Tiffany and Justin both read the book. That is amazing. Happy Rake Appreciation Day. Woohoo! I love it. I'm so hyped. I can't pretend otherwise. I forgot how much I loved this book. Like, for honest, I was excited to reread it because I remember having very good feelings about it. But if this had been the first time I read this book, this would be a 6-star book for me. I'm just throwing it out there. This would be a 6-star book for me. I have a lot of feelings about it. So I'm just throwing that out there. It was 5 stars, but it was almost a 6-star book. I love it so much.
We have so many friends here.
I know. A lot of people are reading this. I think it was helpful to have the historical romance readathon last week because everybody had it on their board. I was very
I know. I kept seeing everybody and I was like, oh, that's fun. That's exciting.
Yeah. I was surprised you didn't read it for the readathon.
I don't know. I was thinking I had so much more time, but also
I literally was like, what?
Like, I definitely prefer to read them close to the show or else I forget too much about them, you know.
This is true.
So
oh, I'm so excited.
Because I never take notes like you do.
Well,
I will sometimes, but
I put a lot of stickies in this one too, so
yeah.
I'm so glad.
Sounds like everybody loved it.
I'm excited.
Should we jump right into it?
Yeah. Aw, thanks, Manning. T. Manning, that's sweet.
I think she said her name is Tiernan.
Oh, well, thank you. I never know. Thank you for saying your name, because I have to go off your screen name is, and I'm like, do I say T, hi T, like what am I saying? So
I do that too. Yeah.
Welcome. I see you on a lot of our live shows, and I'm always just like, do I just say hi there, Manning, or what do you want me to say? So Tiernan it is. I love it.
All right. So yeah, go ahead. Hit us with your star rating.
I said what my rating is. So it's
you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. 5 stars. So I think this is a 4-star read for me.
Okay, good.
4-star, 4.5. It's like almost a 5-star for me, but not quite. But it was so good. I really, really loved it.
That's good. Because if you'd said any less, I was gonna cry.
No, there was a point though, which we can get to.
I know,
but I was like,
I know, but also I'm excited to talk about those points because that's what I have all the notes for. Is because I feel them too so much. Like today, Tiffany, I kind of like I didn't go off on Tiffany, but I told her why I love it so much, and she was like, I did not think of it that way at all. I'm like, but that's what book club's for because nobody's experience is going to be the same. So 4.5 stars is perfectly. Whoa, Justin gave it 4 stars. So I feel like that is a 6 star for Justin.
I think that's like one of the highest ratings you've given one of our books.
Right. I mean, he didn't even give Beverly Jenkins 4 stars. So I
don't even that's one of my worst memories.
Justin, the fact that you're putting up with us 13 months later.
Yeah. I know, huh? Justin, you're going to be on what book is it that you're Justin?
He's doing Splendid. I believe.
Splendid. Oh, that's fun. That's the Julie Quinn one, right?
Mm-hmm. Her first one ever. It's very good. 4.5. Well, I mean, if you're saying 4.5, like you don't even have to say I still really enjoyed it, Zoe. Like, you enjoyed it if you gave it 4.5 stars, unless you are rating out of 10, you know.
Even a 3-star is enjoyable. It's when you get in the 2, then it's like, no.
It's difficult for us too, right? Because we talk about this, like, there's books that I give a 3-star that I would rather be giving a 2-star, but I feel obligated to give a 3-star. And then there's books that like I solidly enjoyed them and I gave them a 3-star. So
I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this, Tiffany. Very, very interested in that.
Yeah.
A moment in time.
Okay, sorry about that. I think they announced the next round, and that's why I was thinking, because their next book is funded.
I have one of her, Beatrice, right? Small. I have one of her books I'm reading like right after Christmas, right after Vlogmas.
Okay.
So that will be fun. All right.
Okay. Wow. So, okay. Here's the thing. Where do we start with?
Exactly. I'm going to let you lead the discussion since this book is your baby.
Okay. It's always fun. Okay. Shoot, where do I want to start with? Let's do it. Let's go with like characters first, because I think some of the thing that I'm the most passionate about that I will go on, like, you know, you'll be able to mute and cough for a while because I'll have a lot to say about it. But let's start with the characters, because I feel like for me, whether this book is like a 5 or a 4 for you depends on how much you connect with a certain aspect of Jack's character specifically. But let's start with Mary. Let's talk about Mary, because she's so interesting. Like, I love her, but also, I mean, I love her. She's so interesting. I don't know how else to say it, but she was also the frustrating part for me a lot.
Interesting. That's very interesting, but not surprising. Knowing you, it doesn't surprise me. So
maybe not for the reason we think. So what do you? Go ahead.
I loved Mary. I felt like she was awesome. Like, she was honestly one of my favorite parts. Just like, except for the only thing that bothered me about her is how she just professed or said that she was in love with all of the men that she had been engaged to, and I was like, no, you weren't, you stupid girl. Like, that was the only thing.
That's really, the thing, though. That's the only thing for me too. For real. Like, we're totally on the same thing, because but it's the way that Eloisa James writes that is so clever, though, because we know that that's going to be a problem.
Exactly. Like, yes.
We know it's going to be a problem that she said she loved these other 2 men and that she loves Cedric. So she's already set herself up for a problem, because now she's faced with true love, and she's like, but I was wrong. That wasn't love.
And that was such a great moment. Like, I honestly, I was really nervous about this book. Like, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. When she like professed her love, and like right after they got married, and it just seemed like all of the tension like dissolved, and there was nothing really keeping me interested in reading it. And then especially when she professed her love and he was like, whoa, no, I don't feel those things. So I was not loving it. But it was the fact that she had that moment of realization of what love actually is, and she didn't love, you know, and then he had that same realization, and it just felt like it tied everything up so nice. And that was the thing that made me really, really love it.
Yeah.
One of the things.
Yep. And I was saying this to Tiffany. I feel like where you can feel that this was a novella stretched out is in that part where between like when they're married and they're just, you know, having all the sexy time and in the garden and like in the whatever, you know, which I like love that stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, yay, I don't need there to be tension all the time. So I like love that, but I feel like that's where you can tell things were like stretched out, because you could very objectively say that 50 pages could be cut from this, you know, just in different places. But because it takes so long, like she's engaged to Cedric for 230 pages of this book. It's a long time. So though, like, then they're like getting married right after that, I feel like they need that time of, you know, all the sex and the fun and the laughter and the friendship. We're gonna where I'm gonna go for it. So I could see where it would feel like a couple people who did have, you know, where they gave it 3 stars, I didn't like it. I feel like they are like, I was bored. I was not bored, but I can understand where the boredom could come, like where you say, oh, I don't want to read it because they're together. And I'm like, but there's stuff we have to talk about.
See, and that's how I felt too. Like I felt like it was like I was so invested in it. Like the whole conflict of she actually wants this twin brother and she's engaged. Like I was like eating that up. And then it just felt like everything just sort of went, you know, and so it wasn't like unenjoyable because there were still good things happening, but it was definitely like work to get through where I was kind of not necessarily work, but I was a little bit bored in those parts for sure.
Yeah. Right. I know. Let's take a side step with Cedric real quick before we do Jack, because I have a lot to say about Jack. But let's take a side step with Cedric, because I remembered when I knew that I always had felt that Eloisa James gypped me of a book. But when I reread it this time, I was like, you did not shove his freaking redemption into the epilogue of this book. Julia Quinn, mark my words, if I ever finally get this woman on my channel, because y'all guys, I've been trying, okay? I've been trying to get Eloisa on my channel, but it's hard to get a hold of. I'm going to ask her where my Cedric book is, who apparently marries like a black woman, right? She's black, or was she a Jamaican, or she could have been black then. I don't know. But he marries this woman he meets on a when he's traveling and like falls in love and realizes what an asshole he was. Like, come on, it's a perfect villain redemption arc. And we just let him, it was over. And I was like, no. I remembered it very vehemently, but what a little asshole Cedric is. Okay, let's just talk about this. Like, all his brother wants is a best friend. I'm going to start laying my foundation for Jack here. All that Jack wants is someone who loves him. That is all that he wants. And he has a twin brother. He has it built in that he should have a best friend, or at least a very close friend.
But the thing that's so interesting about that too is that he doesn't know that's what he wants. He doesn't recognize that's what he wants. And I love that.
Well, exactly. That's the point. Like I said, I'm laying the foundation. That's the point. He doesn't know that's what he wants. No, that's okay. Your opinion is valid to me. I'm building my tower, and that's the brick I have to lay. Like, that is what he wants. You can tell it in the way he is with his servants, with the people that he's landlord of. Like, he's so friendly and kind, really, to everybody. To animals that get caught in the park, and to just like, he's so kind to everyone. But because he's a duke and people think he's above everyone, and because Cedric has spoken ill of him all over London, who has poisoned relationships for him, who was the beloved one of his mother but got all of her affection, and he feels that he's entitled to more, you know, and Jack has just let him have it because he's hoping that if he keeps doing that Cedric will love him. And Cedric just keeps betraying that until we get to Mary. And Mary's one step too far for Jack. He's like, this person, you can't have her. This is the line. This is my step too far. Get out of town. And I just love that. But Cedric,
I love that too. I do. That is, honestly, like obviously he has like some, like Jack has, I know you're laying the foundation, like he has some flaws, right?
Yes. He does.
But he's a nearly perfect hero, I think.
He's so great.
He's really, really great.
I couldn't believe how again, it's one of those things where like when you read as many books as we do, I have vague memories of how much that I liked him. I knew that I did. And coming back to this, I was just like, why is he not on my favorite heroes list? Who is this man? And I originally gave this book, I think, 4 stars. And I'm like, what the frick was I thinking back then? I love this so much, but I've read a lot more historical romance since then. So yes, Cedric.
I would agree with that, Justin, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, I agree. So yeah, so Cedric's a little shit. So let's talk about Jack now. Okay, I'm ready to talk about Jack. And I keep calling him Jack because I love that. She's like the only one who calls him Jack, and like when she stops calling him Jack, and he's like, you have to call me Jack. Like that's
I loved that part so much. That was one of the most.
He's like, Jack is really American, and she's like, well, I'm American. I want to call you Jack. Like, I love that. I love that stuff. So Yeah. I'm just gonna okay. I just want everyone to say how much they love Jack for a little bit here. Trent. Where do I want to go from this? Okay, so this is where I want to get to, where when she says that she loves him, which we know she's gonna do it. And we as the viewers, or the readers who are watching this, I knew this was the wrong time to say it. Even though I didn't know what his reaction was going to be exactly, I knew that this was going to be a bad time to say it. Like, don't say this right now. Don't say this yet. You've even talked with him about the fact that you said I love you to all the other men, you know. But the thing for me that I thought was so amazing about this is, like, we know he's breaking her heart when he says this. We know that it's hard for him to say, like, love isn't a real thing. I just found it so amazing that, like, they communicate really well. Like,
they really do.
Yeah. He's like, why does it have to be love for you? He's like, we are friends. Like, you're my best friend. That's more important to me, because every person he's loved has left him or betrayed him. His dad died. His mom loved his brother more. She gave attention and affection to him. This man is starved for affection. He even says so. He's like, I just want to touch her all the time. I want to touch her hand. I want to spend time with her. I love her. You know, well, he doesn't say I love her. I want to be with her so much. So for me, in the moment when she's saying I love you and he's saying you're my best friend, and this is what I told Tiffany, that, like, blew her mind. They're both saying that I love you.
That's so true. That is so true. Yes.
But to him, exactly a best friend is deeper than love, because someone who would never leave him, who isn't obligated to love him because they were his family member, that is true love to him. He just isn't calling it love. So that's where the miscommunication is that she's calling it love and he's calling it friendship, but they're both saying the same thing. And it isn't until she loses her memory that he's like, what if she never says she loves me again? I can't live with that. And he realizes that what he's feeling is love. So I just love that conversation. I wrote so many notes about it, because he's saying that he loves her back. It's just, she wants to hear the words, I love you back. So him saying, no, you're my friend. Like, don't ruin this. Like, we're friends. And that's better than anything I've ever had, is friendship. Where to him, love is something that you can lose. But if someone's your best friend, you're not going to lose that. And I just think that this book really was a friends to lovers story. That's really what this one was to me. And oh my gosh. And I wasn't mad at her, because we're in her head and we realize that, like, she realizes she shouldn't have said I love you before, because now she really is in love and he's not going to believe her. And she realizes she messed up. But it's so beautiful, because they're both in the same level of affection. Like, him saying, I want to be your friend isn't the same as, like, you know, it isn't the same as, like, an emotional white fanging. Because he's saying, like, no, I don't want you to go. He's not emotionally detaching. He just has a different emotion than her. Okay, that's my, like, I'll let.
And I think that's what makes, like, that shows that they communicate so well in that moment, because even though, like, they're using different words, like, the same definition is there. It's just, and I love that so much. But I felt like this was a really good comment that Jesson made, because I felt like he really could, typically, if she hadn't laid that background in there, I would have been so frustrated with him as a hero. But I wasn't, you know, like, I understood and I was just waiting for it to happen. So
right. Well, and then when she echoes it back to him, like, when she has amnesia and says, like, you're such a great friend, he's like, I don't want to be your friend. Like, why is she calling me a friend? She said she loved me.
Yeah.
And the fact that I counted, and he called her mine 7 times. I rest my case. Jack is the best. He's amazing. So, anyway.
He's really, really great, honestly. Like, a little bit of a big dummy, like, but he has his reasons for you know. Right.
Well, and again, like, that's the thing where Eloise is so deft, is because I never even saw him as being a big dummy. Or if anything, they both were. Because she was a dummy with all those other people.
Yeah, they both were, for sure.
She's never had this connection. So it's one of those things that, like, if she hadn't have said I love you, like, too soon, he would have eventually realized he was in love with her anyway. I just think it was like too like they hadn't sat with it long enough, you know? I don't know. That's how I view it. Yes, he's so possessive. I know, Zoe. It was amazing.
It was fantastic, honestly. Like, moved him from like a 7 to an 11 right away.
Yeah, okay. So here's one quote. I made notes in this whole thing. One of the quotes about it is he's like, I don't want to say flowery words to you, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it's a useless gesture. That's why I have no more trust in empty words and gifts of jewels than you do. But the fact that we're friends, Mary, that is something very rare, and it means so much more than empty trifles. And I'm just kind of like, but that's like so true too. Like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. Because then, of course, she's like, well, I want to be more than your friend. And he's like, but to him, that's the highest level that can be. Anyway.
True.
Okay. I've like spilled, I popped my cork too soon. 20
that's
minutes.
Fine.
Like,
we can talk in whatever order.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the funny stuff now, though, because I know in the chat, like, let's talk about the pineapple and the puppies. Like, let's talk about these things when they're recording, because those are hilarious. Yeah, here we go. The pineapple pariah, that was hilarious. She wanted to eat pineapple. Who wouldn't want to eat pineapples? And then they're like, oh, they're just for decoration.
That was hilarious, and I thought it was so clever.
Like, should I send pineapples to make up for it? And they're like, well, now you've snubbed her because it was. And I was like, oh no.
I know, right? I was like, you rented a pineapple? It's so funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was so funny. Good. Yeah. And the yeah, and then this goes back to like Cedric being such an idiot, but I remember very clearly the first time I was reading this with the puppy thing and the part when she saves what's the one puppy's name? The George. Ugly puppy. George. When she saves George. That's right. She gives them all like very American names. I love that. And Cedric is just like, that's an ugly puppy. Let me get you a cute one. Like, he's just dirty and gross. Like, you won't have him in the house. And I love when she gets fiery and she's like, I'd rather have the puppy in the house than you at this point. So you could just, go kick rocks. Like, that was a big red flag with that, Oh my gosh. Don't ever be mean to the puppy.
I know, right? Like, if he doesn't know, that's when she should have, like,
Justin. When he had to spill wine all over himself because he was so funny. Yes.
Oh wait, I keep touching the wrong.
Yeah, I love it.
That was funny.
He was really gone for her. I love it so much. I love it.
He totally was.
It was such an interesting start too, because brothers fiance ones, they can go really wrong. Mm-hmm. And I'm not always a huge fan of like the reason why I'm dumping them is because they're a jerk. Like, I think I've said this before, like I'm reading one right now where that's like she's dating someone else all this time, and because he's an asshole, it's a reason to like cheat on them because they're a jerk. I hate that trope. Y'all know it. But this one works so well mostly because we know that she's literally known him for like 2 weeks or whatever and is in love with him. And also because Jack, again, he honors his brother more than his brother ever deserves. And is just like, I have to do everything I can to stay away from this woman until he realizes his brother's not good enough for him. And then he's like, good enough for her. And then he's like, well, she's mine. So now the game is on. I'm going to make it happen. Like, guys, the scene at the dance, the scene when this happens, I made a note. I love that he's just like, I would like her to sit on my lap now. And he just like, pulls her on his lap, and he's just like, I'm going to make sure that I'm married to her, so it's okay for me to start kissing up on her because I'm going to make it happen. And I was like, that's a little bit close to the line for me, but I'm going to let it work because you're amazing, so I'm okay with it. I just love it so much. And then, yeah, how about the wedding, actually, though? This is honestly, this is the part that almost loses me in the book.
Really?
Because of her family. Well, because of her family. Her family who, like, loves her so much is just, I don't know. It was really frustrating to me because I was like, are they really sure that she's in love with him? Or were they, like, I know they love her. I know that they love her. They're very good. But do they know how much that he really cares for her? Because they could have been handing her over to someone that was not good for her.
Mm-hmm.
Because did they talk to her about it? That's a part that, like, it doesn't lose me because it's a good reveal. But her aunt and uncle were really high-handed with it, that they wouldn't even, because Jack even says, he's like, it was their choice not to tell you. Like, I wanted to tell you, and they kept me away from you, and they didn't tell her who she was marrying. I didn't really like, that was something that, like, I'm just like, really? I know that that's a story point, but it's like, don't you have a good relationship with your aunt and uncle? Like, why?
Yeah, it did seem like it until then. I agree with you. Yeah.
But
I
yes.
I agree, Justin. I was yeah.
It's a clean way for her to have it be like, she doesn't have to get embarrassed again, and it doesn't have to be her getting officially engaged to a fourth person, because technically she's not engaged to 4 people. She goes from being engaged to marrying him the next day. So, yeah. Right, and that her veil could be so thick that she couldn't see him. That I remember is the first time I was reading. I was like, how can her veil be that thick that she didn't realize who it was until...
Yeah, I know.
I was like, But it's clever. It's clever. Yeah. I mean, and again, all romance novels are fantasies. So I buy into it because he's so good to her. Like, seriously, he's so good to her that I don't care. I'm like, it's great. This is good. We've spent long enough with Cedric over our heads because, like you said, it's literally this much of the book, 230 pages is with him, and this is what we get with them. So,
and I honestly, like, I didn't mind that because I was just like, there was just like so much pining. Like, he was like pining for her so much. And I love that. It's so good.
Yeah. Yep. And again, too, I think that's why there's that bit of dead space afterward. Well, it's not dead. They're having a lot of sex. It's very beautiful. I think that's why there's that chunk of that, because we didn't have anything going on before at all. Mm-hmm. So she's able to have it not be a cheating romance because there's really nothing besides that kiss the night before, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's really great. Cedric gave up. Well, it just goes to show, like, Cedric is getting what he wanted. Like, he got money and he got sent away. Cedric is a selfish asshole. He didn't love her. I'm surprised he didn't try to get more money out of him than that. So, also, I think he realized he bit off more than he could chew with her. Like, he wouldn't have had a happy marriage with her, and she had her own money too. He wasn't going to get all of her money. Mm-hmm. So, was she worth it to him? No. So.
And that's why I think, like, the whole dog thing was so interesting, and so like that was the moment when they both realized, like, or started to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's gonna dig his feet in about this, and wasn't gonna work. But let me see what other. I took a lot of notes, so I should see if there was anything more than I have to say. Oh, how did we feel about her, like, temporary amnesia? Because I totally forgot about that, and I was like, wait, this has a mini amnesia for a couple days.
Honestly, like, I liked it. I know I read some reviews where people were like, it was just too, like, everything happened too neatly, and I mean, like, yeah, it did, but, like, I also, like, didn't mind it. Like, I liked it. I thought it was fun. I wasn't expecting it, honestly, at all.
Yeah. Well, I liked it because, you know, there had to be something that, like, shocks him into thinking it. And I really love, oh, these two are such great partners, because she realizes how much she pressured him too. You know, like, she withdraws from him a little bit emotionally, like, we understand, but she already was like, you know what? I came on way too strong with that after being in love with 3 other people. So I just loved how, like, they both were kind of, I don't even want to say, like, groveling, because she wasn't, like, groveling, but she was coming to terms with, like, you know what? He's giving me so much of himself. We are friends. Do I have to hear him say I love you when, like, I wrote down, I'm like, everything he's doing is showing that he loves you. And so I wanted her to see that, of, like, yes, we're romance novelists, we're readers, we want him to say I love you, and like he will, but I like that she realized that he does care for me. It's not like he's ambivalent to me just because he doesn't know how to say I love you. She was realizing that too. At the same time, he's like, I do love her, and I want her to say I love you back to me again. So I don't know, I like that a lot. And just like the phrasing they use about each other. I think I made a note. 299. I took a lot of notes this time. When they were I think they're just walking together one day. She was like, he was like some sort of dark melody that she couldn't quite place. Unpredicted, unknowable, and fascinating. Like they're just so into each other. I just love it. I love it. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I just love it so much. Yeah. And when he, like once he later on says like, you're my friend and I never want to leave this bed. So like, what else do we need? I don't know. There's so many
This
things.
is such a good comment right here. The amnesia really did save them. She wasn't willing to let him gradually realize how much he loved her. She was pushing hard and he kept resisting. He needed that amnesia. Like, that is so true. That was the thing that saved the whole story for me. Is I was like, oh, this is forcing things to happen that I don't know how else it would have. Like, it was
right.
It was great. It was
yep.
So good.
Yep. Oh, the guy when she fell down. Wasn't she not feeling good though? Isn't that why she went outside? I can't remember why she went outside. Oh, she wanted to see the garden. She wanted to see the fountain because that's what she likes to do. So he got her outside because she wanted to see the fountain. And again, she's American. She doesn't follow stuff that well. Even though I feel like in America this year too, you still shouldn't have been alone with people, even if you're American. But yeah. One of the things I wrote about Mary too is that she's very kind. Like she's very kind and she does believe the best of people. And that's part of the reason why she just falls for people so easily is because she sees the best in people all the time. You know, he sees her as kind. And that's literally why he falls for her instantly in that conversation they have on the balcony. Is he's just like, wow, she's smart and funny and she's kind. And he's just like, maybe I need an American. I love that. He's like, maybe it's an American that I need. So the pineapple. Yes. Yeah. Like, yeah. And in like the British society, it's like the more you tried to apologize, the more you were like shaming the other person too, which is whatever. But she never wanted to embarrass anyone or do that, you know. But yeah, mostly great. Yes. Yep. That pineapple. That's hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. And well, and I've said like Jack is really kind too. Like his relationship with his servants and with his tenants. Like I love when Mary goes to visit and like the lady sends her home with like all this stuff and everything. And
I love that too. I love that so much.
They're so sweet. So yeah, I don't know. What is there anything else we've missed?
So this started as a novella. I didn't know that. I listened to the audiobook. Is that mentioned in?
Yes, it's in her author's note that this was supposed to be a novella and she just couldn't stop writing it basically.
Interesting.
And also she talks about the pineapples too, that's a real thing. That you could rent a pineapple.
That's hilarious. You know, I think Eloisa James gets a lot of credit for writing really fun books that have really great banter, really swoony and romantic books. But I feel like she is so, and this isn't a surprise because we know that she is a college professor, but she's so good at using all of those things to make a story just really appealing to a lot of readers while still telling so much history and talking about how relationships were back then. I felt like there was a lot of discussion in here about how many people married and they were just stuck in unhappy marriages, you know? And so it didn't really, I think laying in those little bits, it didn't really make it surprising that Mary was just so willing to just marry whoever and just assumed it was going to be an unhappy marriage. But
she has a whole series that is Second Chance with Your Spouse, like Marriage in Trouble. Sorry, Marriage in Trouble.
Yeah.
She has a whole series that's Marriage in Trouble. That's really great. I predict that when you finish all of like Lisa Kleypas, that Eloisa James will be another author you'll want to read like all of her stuff. She's just that. And a lot of hers are connected to, there are interconnecting, like Lady Whistledown shows up in her book sometimes. And I don't know, she writes that exact formula we love where her heroes and heroines are very like, they're sexual and like, but they're also fun and witty and very interesting situations too. Like her whole fairy tale series, I love. And yeah. So anyway, she's an author that, I don't know, she really will have these like a surprising story, and then you're like, wow, this is also really sexy. I forget that she does that. That's great. So
I do really think that she has some very like unique and fun stories to tell. Like I really, so this is only the second book of hers that I've read, and I felt like they were both just super engaging right off the bat, just really enjoyable. But then they took some turns that I wasn't expecting. Like I did not see the amnesia coming, and I just love when an author can surprise me and when it works, you know, because sometimes authors try to surprise you and it's like, no. And like honestly, like if I had known that amnesia was in here, I would have been like, I don't know, but it just worked. It worked so good.
Yeah, amnesia does. Yes, Stacy. Oh my gosh, so good.
So Jenn has some videos on her channel where she does like deep dives into her. I've read When Beauty Tamed the Beast that Jessin is recommending right here, and I loved that one. That one was a 5-star read for me.
She happens to be on this shelf right here because she's my favorite. My favorite ones are, let me show them really quick.
I loved that so much too, Tiffany. He was just like obsessed with her, and I was like, yes, this is so great. I just love it so much.
This book is a retelling of Princess and the Pea, and I love this one. Obviously, I love the Wild series, which was her most recent series. These ones are amazing. This one is one where they were married by proxy when they were kids, and he got lost in like the jungle or in like Africa or something. And he's come back and he's like, well, I'll annul our marriage so you don't have to be married to me. And she's like, literally, I've been supposed to be married to a duke all this time and you're just going to get rid of me. And so she's like, no. So, sorry, you probably can't see it. It's shiny. But it's When the Duke Returns. And then Jessin and Juliet are actually about to talk about this one, 3 Weeks with Lady X.
Oh.
So anyway, those are some of my favorites of hers. But I really need to reread some of her older ones. She has, like I said, she has the Desperate Duchesses. Most of those books are all Marriage in Trouble. And she writes those so good, you know, because so many of the marriages were arranged and like, I don't know. It was really good. So her and Julia Quinn are like best friends in the writing world. So there's a lot of similarities anyway. But the Ugly Duckling one too. That's retelling of the Ugly Duckling. That one has a virgin hero. And
Isn't there a Goldilocks one too? I think I just got, or no, it's Rapunzel. Rapunzel?
Yes. Yep.
I was just thinking blonde hair.
Right. Yeah, she has Rapunzel, the Ugly Duckling, Cinderella, Princess and the Pea, and Beauty and the Beast. And then there's like a short story that's a pirate one that fits in. So all those. Yeah. Yeah, she's very good at that, of keeping you on the edge. Yeah.
I love pining. Well,
very true. Very true. Well,
we may have a shorter discussion, but I really loved reading that. Like it was just such an enjoyable read. And that's honestly, that's all I really ask for is, am I having a good time while I'm reading it? Then I'm happy. And that one definitely was.
When we really love a book, sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long.
I know. It's like when we have problems, then we're like, okay, we're going to rant for an hour and a half on this.
Right.
And y'all, I'm a little nervous about our next book.
Right? I'm at least it looks shortish. It's not super long.
I think that at the very least it will have really great conversation, you know.
I don't know. Cause like I've listened to the like hour-long review that Fated Mates did, and I was very interested, but I was also like, that doesn't seem like a book I want to read.
Honestly, I don't even know exactly what it's about.
Oh, okay.
I just know like I've read Sherry Thomas before, and I know this is the one everybody talks about.
Right.
And so that was mostly why.
And I've read Sherry Thomas before, but I read her YA fantasy, which I loved.
Okay, what was that? I didn't know that she wrote.
Yep, it's a trilogy. And it's like mages. I can't say that word. What's she called? Sherry Thomas. So it's called what's the first book? The Burning Sky. It's the Elemental trilogy. So the first one's called The Burning Sky, The Immortal Heights, and The Perilous Sea. And I love those books. I actually just re-listened to them. It was last year, and I was still like riveted. They were so good. But I did not know that she did historicals until just like last year. And I was like, what? She writes historicals? I feel like I should have known this. So
I don't think she writes them anymore. I think she's only doing like her it's
mystery ones.
It's like a lady Sherlock. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which I kind of
covers. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Her book covers look like Kerrigan Burns. So I was
they do.
They have like the same kind of covers on them. So
and I think they not necessarily the same story, but I think they're doing the same type of thing where it's a historical fiction with maybe a little bit of romantic elements, but not the main plot. So
Kerrigan Byrne promised it like grows into it. That there will be, because my friends who started, they're like, she said it's gonna get there, and I'm like, once it gets there, tell me, and I'll decide the books I want to read.
I am interested to read that though, especially since we talked with her. I think it'd be interesting to see what she does with that.
Well, and especially since a lot of her effort now is gonna be with those.
Yeah,
I kind of want to get on board, because if that's what I'm gonna get from her for the next little bit, then I want to be on board. But Ravishing the Heiress on January 20th. We'll see. That'll be. I was putting my TBR together yesterday for what January will be and what we're doing for the readathon and everything, and I was like, I think it'll be good. It'll be a good like stretching book, and I just know that it's funny to me that you didn't know what it was about at all. I thought that's why you picked it, so I'm interested. So I won't say anything, but
you can tell me.
I won't.
No, it's one of those books like that. When you hear about Sherry Thomas, that's the one that always gets talked about, and it seems generally very well loved, but also like I thought it might have some good discussion type of things in it, But then I read the first one.
Right. Well, that's what I was gonna say. You did not like that.
But I know that, I know Jess from Peace Love Books, she loved that book, and I did not. So
yes, the first one.
Yeah, the first one.
Okay. Yeah. I'm interested to see what her writing will be, and I found the audiobook for it, and it'll be good. It'll be good. I was happy you had one you wanted to do, because I end up kind of picking books a lot, and I feel bad that I'm
I pick books too, but you're just a little bit more I really want to do this, and I'm like, that's fine, we can do that.
Guys, I promise I try. I'll be like, hey, what do we want to do for these? These are the authors we haven't done yet. And she'll be like, cool. What do we do for them? And I was like, well.
But then I give you options and you're like, how about these? And I'm like, that's fine.
time.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, it's fine because I really don't. I just enjoy reading different things and if you feel passionate about one, let's do it. You know, I mean, there's lots of books to read, so.
Yeah, I'm of course, because I just reread Annie's Song again too, our February pick, and I'm like, ooh, there's so much to talk about with that one.
Yeah.
But second time around, I didn't sit with it didn't make me quite as sad because I knew where we were going. So I was like, okay, I don't have to be as sad this time. But for everyone, one thing I will say, the narrator for Annie's Song is not my favorite. So like you have to use an audiobook because like that's your reading experience. I understand, but I also recommend, like, I believe Annie's Song. Oh, did I have to buy that on Kindle? Maybe it wasn't KU. That's a different one. That was KU. But I just want to say that I read it first just with my eyeballs, and that experience was much more powerful. The audiobook for Annie's Song, the narrator makes some weird choices. So I just want to put it out there. I know that's 2 months away, but I know a lot of us, we pretty much solely use audio for our historicals. Like, that's me. I have to read some historicals without audiobooks, and it's going to take me a long time. Like, there's a reason to use those now. But that's Ravishing the Heiress.
By Sherry Thomas, yeah.
Yes. It is on.
I don't have a physical copy, so I can't hold it up for you.
I'll just get it. It's 2 feet away. I'll get it right. I'm going to film my TBR tomorrow, so I have it over there. It is this one.
You have a copy, huh? Where did you find that one? And it's brand new, isn't it?
Nope. I got this one from, I ordered it from Thrift Books as soon as we picked. Sometimes you get lucky with Thrift Books.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't seem too long. Most of the time, it's like, it's not even 300, so.
Yeah, hers are pretty short, so.
Yeah. I got mad reading Annie's Song. Oh, I understand that. That is a valid feeling. I got mad at Annie's Song too, but yep.
Well, what are you reading right now?
A lot of things. I'm reading this. And I just started Then Came You, which I'm loving already. Oh,
yeah.
I never want to be done with Lisa Kleypas. Ever. I don't ever want to be done with her. But Lily's so, like, seriously, like, I like reading this one better for having read Dreaming of You first, because Derek walks on the scene and you're just like, I love you. But they're like best friends. Derek and Lily they're best friends, which I know you know from, but it's different seeing it from her point of view, where she's like, he's someone I trust a lot. Anyway.
I'm so excited for that one. I've kind of been putting it off, but I wanted to finish her other series first. So now I think the next series of hers I want to read is Bow Street Runners, probably, because I've only read Lady Sophia's Lover in that one.
Yes, you should. Speaking of amnesia tropes, you should continue that one. I won't say where, but that was one of the first books I ever read that. One of those books has that trope as like.
That's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one everyone talks about for amnesia. Yeah.
Yes, because it's like, in the way that Lisa Kleypas can push you to uncomfortable things, but you love it so much. That's what that one is. Like, anyway. And then the third one in that series is probably her spiciest book she's ever written, in my opinion. I was like, whoo, what is happening? What's that guy's name? Is it Christian? I think his name is Christian. He was, like, he's not a favorite, like, hero of mine, but that their sexual relationship was very interesting. I was like, wow, okay. But yeah, so that's mostly what I got. Oh, and then I'm reading Silent Lucidity by Tiffany Roberts, preparing for, and that's one of the ones I feel like, I don't know, it feels really dark to me. So, but anyway, the family's calling. The family's rustling around, but
yeah. Anyway, so all right. Should we end a little early?
Yeah, I think that was good. Thank you guys for reading one of my. This was so much fun.
That was very fun. I really enjoyed that one. It was good. Loved it.
Go read all the Eloisa James, everybody. You won't be disappointed. She's amazing.
So. All right. We'll see you next month for Ravishing the Heiress.
We'll see you in the new year, everybody.